Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I want to speak to you today about a truth that burns deep in my heart, a truth that has carried countless men and women through the darkest valleys, the fiercest storms, and the most trying times of their lives. It is a truth that has lifted the weary, strengthened the weak, and given hope to the brokenhearted. That truth is this: God didn't bring you this far to leave you. I know that some of you listening today are struggling. You feel as though the weight of the world is pressing down on your shoulders. You look at your life and you wonder why things have turned out the way they have. Maybe you've been faithful, you've prayed, you've believed, but the doors you expected to open have remained shut. The prayers you've cried out seem to have gone unanswered. The dreams you once had feel like they're slipping away. And in those moments of doubt, the enemy whispers in your ear, "You're all alone. God has forgotten you. He's left you." But let me tell you something today, my friends. Those are lies from the pit of hell. God is not a man that he should lie, nor the Son of Man that he should change his mind. If he has brought you this far, he will not abandon you now. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who shut the mouths of lions for Daniel, who walked through the fire with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and who raised Lazarus from the dead. That same God is with you right now. When you look back over your life, can't you see his hand guiding you? Can't you see his fingerprints on the pages of your story? There were moments you should have fallen, moments you should have failed, but somehow you made it through. There were battles that should have destroyed you, but you are still standing. That is not by accident. That is not by your strength alone. That is the hand of Almighty God upon your life. He has carried you. He has provided for you. He has protected you, and he is not about to leave you now. Think about the story of Joseph. He had dreams of greatness, of purpose, of divine destiny. But before he saw those dreams come to pass, he was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, sold into slavery, falsely accused, and locked away in a prison. Can you imagine how alone he must have felt? How abandoned, how tempted he must have been to believe that God had forgotten him? But God had not forgotten Joseph. In every season, God was working behind the scenes, positioning him, preparing him, molding him for the very purpose he had ordained. And when the time was right, Joseph went from the prison to the palace, from being a forgotten prisoner to the second most powerful man in Egypt. Some of you are in the pit right now. Some of you feel like you're in a prison of pain, of disappointment, of hardship. But I am here to tell you, do not give up. Do not believe the lie that this is the end of your story. The same God who was with Joseph is with you. He has not left you. He has not forsaken you, and he never will. I think of Moses leading the children of Israel out of Egypt after all the miracles, after the plagues, after Pharaoh finally let them go. They found themselves standing at the edge of the Red Sea with the Egyptian army closing in behind them. In that moment, fear gripped their hearts. Some of them thought they had made a mistake, that they would die in the wilderness. But God had not brought them that far just to leave them. And in his power, he parted the waters, making a way where there was no way. And he will do the same for you. When you come to your Red Sea, when the enemy is pursuing you, when there seems to be no way forward, remember this: God is still in the business of parting seas. He is still in the business of making a way where there is no way. What he has promised, he will fulfill. He is not a halfway God. He does not start something only to abandon it. He did not bring you this far to leave you. I know that life can be hard. I know that the road can be long. and weary. Maybe you've lost a loved one, and the pain is more than you can bear. Maybe you've faced rejection, betrayal, or a door that slammed shut in your face. But even in those moments of pain, God is with you. The Bible says, "The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." When you cry, he sees every tear. When you feel weak, he is your strength. When you feel like you can't go on, he carries you. And do you know why? Because he loves you. Oh, if you could only grasp how much he loves you. His love is deeper than the ocean, higher than the heavens, stronger than anything in this world. He loves you with an everlasting love. And his love will never fail you. Some of you feel forgotten. You feel overlooked, like God has blessed others but passed you by. But let me remind you, God's timing is perfect. He has not forgotten you. Just because you don't see it yet doesn't mean he's not working. The waiting season is not a wasted season. Sometimes God keeps us in the waiting so he can refine us, shape us, prepare us for what is to come. Trust him. Trust his plan. Trust his timing. I think about Jesus and his disciples when they were in the boat and the storm raged around them, the wind howled and the waves crashed. They thought they were going to perish. They were terrified. And where was Jesus? He was asleep. Oh, how often do we feel like that? Like we're in the middle of a storm and God is silent. Like he doesn't see the struggle. Like he doesn't care. But then at just the right time, Jesus stood up, rebuked the storm, and suddenly there was peace. Your storm is not bigger than your God. Your battle is not stronger than his power. He has authority over the wind and the waves. He has authority over sickness, over pain, over every trial that comes against you. And he will not let the storm destroy you. He will bring you through it. If you are weary today, if you feel like you can't take another step, I want you to remember this. God has a plan for you, a plan for good and not for harm, a plan to give you hope and a future. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. He who began a good work in you will be faithful to complete it. So lift your head, stand firm in your faith, keep pressing on because the God who brought you this far is not about to leave you now. Hallelujah. The road of faith is not always smooth. There are valleys, there are mountains, and there are times when it feels like you're walking through the wilderness with no end in sight. But if you look through the pages of Scripture, if you study the lives of those who walked before us, you will see a pattern of God's faithfulness, a pattern of his unwavering presence, a pattern of him leading his people through every trial, every battle, every hardship. Abraham was called by God to leave his homeland, to step out in faith to a place that God would show him. He didn't have a road map. He didn't have all the answers. But he had a promise, and that promise was enough. He faced challenges, he faced delays, he faced moments of doubt, but through it all, God never abandoned him. And in the fullness of time, God fulfilled every word he had spoken. Some of you today are standing at the edge of the unknown. God has called you to something, but you don't see how it's going to happen. Maybe he's told you to step out, to start something new, to believe for something greater, and fear has gripped your heart. But let me tell you, if God has called you, he will equip you. If he has led you to it, he will lead you through it. He didn't bring you this far to leave you. David, before he was king, spent years on the run from Saul. He had already been anointed, already been chosen, but instead of sitting on the throne, he found himself hiding in caves, hunted like an animal. He must have wondered, God, where are you? You called me, you anointed me, but all I see is trouble. But God had not left David. In those years of hiding, in those years of struggle, God was preparing him, shaping him, refining him. And when the time was right, the promise was fulfilled. You see, there is always a season of preparation before the promise comes to pass. God doesn't just want to take you to your destiny. He wants to prepare you for it. He doesn't just want to bless you. He wants to make sure you are ready to carry that blessing. Sometimes what looks like a delay is actually God's mercy. Sometimes what looks like a setback is actually a setup for something greater. Think about Peter. He walked with Jesus, saw the miracles, heard the teachings, and yet when the moment of testing came, he denied his Lord 3 times. He must have thought that was the end, that he had failed too greatly to ever be used by God again. But Jesus didn't leave him in his failure. After the resurrection, Jesus restored Peter, called him again, and used him in a mighty way to preach the gospel. On the day of Pentecost, it was Peter who stood up and declared the message that led thousands to salvation. Some of you feel like you failed. You feel like you've made too many mistakes, taken too many wrong turns, drifted too far from God's plan. But I want you to hear me today. Your failure is not final. Your mistakes do not define you. God is not done with you. If he was finished with you, you wouldn't still be here. The very fact that you are breathing, that you are hearing this message, is proof that God is still working in your life. Don't let the enemy convince you that it's over. Don't let him tell you that you've gone too far for God to redeem you. God's mercy is greater than your mistakes. His grace is greater than your past. He did not bring you this far to leave you. Job was a man who had everything, wealth, family, health. But in a matter of moments, it was all stripped away. He lost his children, his fortune, his health. His friends told him to curse God and die. His wife told him to give up. But in the middle of his pain, in the middle of his suffering, Job held on to his faith. He didn't understand why it was happening. He didn't have all the answers. But he knew that God was still on the throne. And in the end, God restored to him double what he had lost. Maybe you've lost something. Maybe you're grieving, hurting, wondering why. But let me tell you, our God is a God of restoration. What the enemy has stolen, God can restore. What was broken, he can make whole. What was lost, he can redeem. The story is not over yet. Paul was beaten, shipwrecked, imprisoned, but he never lost sight of the calling God had placed on his life. He knew that no matter what he faced, God was with him. That's why he could write, "We are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." Why? Because he knew that the God who had called him would never leave him. And that same God is with you today. The enemy will try to discourage you. He will try to make you question God's faithfulness. He will try to plant doubt in your mind, whispering, "Look at your circumstances. Look at what you're going through. If God were really with you, would you be struggling like this?" But don't listen to those lies. The presence of trouble does not mean the absence of God. Sometimes it is in the fire that we see him most clearly. Sometimes it is in the storm that we recognize his power. Remember the 3 Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? They refused to bow to the king's idol, and because of their faith, they were thrown into a fiery furnace. But when the king looked into the flames, he didn't see just 3 men. He saw 4, because the Son of God was right there with them in the fire. That is the promise we have. God doesn't just bring us to the fire. He walks with us through it. He doesn't just allow the storm. He calms it. He doesn't just call us to the battle. He fights for us. I want to speak to those who feel tired, who feel like you can't go on any longer. You've prayed, you've believed, but you feel weary. Listen to me, don't give up. The enemy would love nothing more than for you to quit right before your breakthrough. He would love for you to throw in the towel when you are closer than you've ever been. But God is saying, hold on, trust me, I'm not finished yet. When you are weak, He is strong. When you are tired, He is your rest. When you feel like you can't take another step, He carries you. He did not bring you this far to leave you. And I want to remind you today, this world is not our home. We are just passing through. The trials we face, the hardships we endure, they are temporary. There is a greater glory waiting for us. Jesus himself said, in this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. He has already won the victory. The battle you are fighting, the struggle you are facing, it has already been won at the cross. When Jesus stretched out his hands and declared, it is finished, he was declaring victory over sin, over death, over every power of the enemy. And that victory is yours. You don't have to walk in fear. You don't have to live in defeat. You are more than a conqueror through him who loves you. So lift your head. Stand firm in your faith. The God who brought you through yesterday will bring you through today. The God who made a way before will make a way again. He is faithful. He is true. And he will never, ever leave you. The journey of faith is not without trials, but every trial is an opportunity to trust God in a deeper way. If you could see what God sees, if you could understand the full picture, you would know that he is not delaying, he is not holding back, but he is working all things together for your good. Sometimes the waiting season is the proving season, the shaping season, the strengthening season. If you are in a valley, don't lose heart. God is still working. Look at Elijah. He was a mighty prophet, a man who called down fire from heaven, a man who stood against the prophets of Baal. Yet even he had a moment where he felt like giving up. After his great victory on Mount Carmel, he found himself running for his life, hiding in a cave, crying out to God, saying, I've had enough, Lord. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt like saying, Lord, I've done all I can. I've prayed. I've believed, but I don't see anything changing. That's where Elijah was. But God did not leave him in that place of despair. God came to him, not in the earthquake, not in the fire, not in the wind, but in a still small voice, reminding him that he was not alone. Maybe you're looking for God in the big signs, in the dramatic answers, in the visible miracles. But God is speaking to you in the quiet moments. He is whispering to your heart, I am here. I have not forgotten you. I have not abandoned you. Just because you don't see him working doesn't mean he's not working. Just because you don't feel him near doesn't mean he has left you. He did not bring you this far to leave you. I think of Hannah, who longed for a child. Year after year, she prayed, she wept, she waited, but there was no answer. Others around her had what she was longing for, and it seemed like her prayers were falling on deaf ears. But what she didn't know was that God was preparing something special. When the time was right, he gave her Samuel, not just a child, but a prophet, a man who would anoint kings, a man who would change history. Sometimes The reason for the delay is because what God is preparing for you is greater than what you could ask or imagine. Maybe you feel like you've been waiting forever. You've been praying for that breakthrough, for that healing, for that restoration, but it hasn't come yet. Let me tell you today, don't give up. Delay is not denial. God is still on the throne, and His timing is perfect. He is faithful to His promises, and He will not fail you. He did not bring you this far to leave you. Think about Ruth. She lost her husband. She left her homeland. She had nothing, yet she chose to follow God. She could have turned back. She could have given up, but she stayed faithful. And because of that faithfulness, God placed her in the lineage of Jesus Christ. What looked like the end was actually the beginning of something greater. Some of you have faced loss. You've lost a job. You've lost a relationship. You've lost something you thought you could never live without. But let me remind you, our God is a God of new beginnings. What seems like an ending is often just the setup for something far greater than you can imagine. God is not done writing your story. He is still working behind the scenes, still arranging things in your favor, still preparing blessings that you haven't even dreamed of. He did not bring you this far to leave you. I think of Paul and Silas, beaten and thrown into prison for preaching the gospel. They could have given up. They could have complained, but instead they chose to worship. In the midnight hour, they lifted their voices in praise, and as they worshiped, the prison doors swung open and their chains fell off. Maybe you're in a midnight hour right now. Maybe you feel bound, stuck, trapped. But I want to tell you, praise is your weapon. Worship in the waiting. Declare God's faithfulness even when you don't see the breakthrough yet, because when you praise in the prison, the doors will open. God will make a way. He did not bring you this far to leave you. And let's talk about Jesus. Oh, if there was ever a moment where it seemed like God had left, it was at the cross. Jesus, the Son of God, was beaten, mocked, nailed to a cross. And in his final moments, he cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Have you ever felt like that, like God has turned his face away, like you're carrying a burden too heavy to bear? But listen to me. The cross was not the end of the story. 3 days later, the stone was rolled away, and Jesus walked out of that tomb victorious. Some of you are in a Good Friday season. You feel like all hope is lost. But I'm here to tell you, Sunday's coming. Resurrection is coming. The pain you feel now will not last forever. The darkness you're walking through is not the end of the story. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead is at work in your life today. He is still moving, still restoring, still redeeming, and he will not leave you now. Some of you feel overwhelmed by the battles you are facing. Maybe it's a battle in your mind, fear, anxiety, depression. Maybe it's a battle in your family, strife, division, heartache. Maybe it's a battle in your finances, in your health, in your career. But I want to remind you today, the battle is not yours, it is the Lord's. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. He fights for you. He defends you. He goes before you, and he will not fail you. He did not bring you this far to leave you. You may be walking through a storm, but the storm does not define you. Your God does. You may feel like you are sinking, but remember Peter? When he stepped out of the boat, he started walking on water toward Jesus, but the moment he took his eyes off the Lord and looked at the wind and waves, he began to sink. Some of you feel like you're sinking today, but let me remind you, Jesus is reaching out his hand. He will not let you go under. Keep your eyes on him. He did not bring you this far to leave you. You have come too far to turn back now. You have fought too many battles, prayed too many prayers, shed too many tears to give up now. You may be tired, you may be weary, but the finish line is ahead. Keep pressing forward, keep trusting, keep believing, because the God who called you is faithful, and he will complete what he started in you. He did not bring you this far to leave you. The enemy wants you to believe that your best days are behind you. He wants you to think that the trials you are facing now mean that God has forgotten you. But I want to tell you, your best days are still ahead. The road may be rough, the path may be uncertain, but God is leading you somewhere greater. He is taking you to a place of promise, a place of purpose, a place of destiny. He didn't bring you this far just to abandon you in the middle of the journey. When the Israelites stood before the Red Sea, they saw no way forward. Behind them, Pharaoh's army was closing in, and before them was an impassable sea. Fear gripped their hearts, and they cried out to Moses, saying, "Did you bring us out here to die?" Maybe that's where you are today. Maybe you feel like the obstacles before you are too great, like the enemy is closing in and there's no way out. But what did God do? He made a way where there was no way. He parted the sea and his people walked through on dry ground. That's the kind of God we serve. He specializes in making a way when there seems to be no way. He is the God of the impossible. What looks like a dead end to you is just an opportunity for him to show his power. What looks like defeat is just the setup for your victory. He did not bring you this far to leave you. And don't be discouraged by the waiting. Sometimes we think that if God doesn't answer right away, he must not care. But delay is not denial. Just because you don't see the answer yet doesn't mean it's not coming. Keep trusting, keep believing, keep holding on to his promises. Think about Joseph. He had a dream, a vision of greatness, but before he reached the palace, he had to go through the pit, through slavery, through prison. It looked like everything was against him. But what others meant for evil, God used for good. And in the right time, Joseph was lifted up and placed in the position God had prepared for him all along. Your struggle is not the end of your story. God is still writing. He is still moving. He is still working all things together for your good. He has not forgotten you. He has not forsaken you. He did not bring you this far to leave you. So now, my friend, I want you to stand firm in your faith. No matter what you are facing, no matter how dark the night may seem, no matter how heavy the burden feels, God is still with you. He has led you this far, and he will not abandon you now. His plans for you are greater than anything you could imagine. His love for you is deeper than any trial you are walking through. His strength is more than enough to carry you through every storm. Hold on to his promises. Keep trusting even when you can't see the way. Keep walking even when the path is uncertain. Keep believing even when the answer hasn't come yet. Because the God who parted the Red Sea, the God who raised the dead, the God who delivered his people time and time again, that same God is with you today. He has not brought you this far to leave you. He is faithful, he is true, and he will finish what he started in your life.